We got about 14 right now. Let's let some people get in. We have some big, big, big updates right now on what's going on. Trump is claiming some big things, talking about some big talks that he's had that could really change the course of this whole thing. But Iran is saying a little bit different than what Trump is saying, let's just say. You know, he's he's not really saying the same stuff that we're hearing from them. Let's see if you guys can hear me a bit better now. I think this is a lot louder, mate. Bees. Yeah, I'm going to go through so many clips with you guys because I want you to see and hear exactly what he's saying. And also compare that with what we're seeing Iran is saying. You know, we're getting two different stories in a way, and you have to figure out how much of it is the truth and who's it coming from, who's giving us the truth and who isn't, and we're going to go through all that stuff right now. First thing I want to show you guys is this Truth Social post that Trump put out. Let me pull this up for you in just a second. Here we go. Whoop. Where'd we go? There we go. So Trump put out a long truth post. Okay. Recently. And we're going to hear the press conference moves where he's sharing. Chirag is on the live stream? Chirag, what are you doing? You saw me going live? That's crazy. Hey. I'll shoot you a message after I get off of this. How are you doing, man? So Trump, I can't believe you messaged. I got on the live stream. So Trump tweeted out on Truth Social, he said, I am pleased. Got some weird typing, by the way, you guys. I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had, over the last 2 days, over the weekend, very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. Based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week. I've instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of these ongoing meetings and discussions. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Now, that's a little bit different than what we're hearing from Iran. But I do want to let you hear some of the more in-depth explanations that Trump is going to give before he boards Air Force One about these talks that are going on and the change. Because if you remember, what was the huge threat he gave everybody? That within 48 hours, if they didn't calm it down, he would strike their plants. And there was a lot of pushback on that because that would really impact the civilians. But now, apparently there's been all these good talks, and he's changing his tune. All the while, we're continually being told, oh, this war is won. The military's totally depleted. We've taken out all their leadership, which we've taken out a lot of their leadership. But the military is just decimated. Decimated. Well, let's hear from Trump more in depth on exactly what he wants to give out as his messaging regarding this, because that's a big change in tune. He said, no. I need you guys to stop or we're going to strike. And now good talks. So let's see what he means.
When it comes to productive conversations to end the war.
Well, they're going to have to get themselves better. That's better. Isn't that more comfortable?
Mr. President, Iran's foreign ministry says you're not telling the truth when it comes to productive conversations to end the war.
Well, they're going to have to get themselves better public relations people. We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other. But we've had very strong talks. Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner had them. They went, I would say, perfectly. I would say that if they carry through with that, it'll end that problem, that conflict. And I think it'll end it very, very substantially. We have very much in mind our partners in the Middle East. We've had great relationships with a lot of them, as you know. A lot of them were surprisingly hit. And I was surprised to see it, and so was everyone else. But we have, they're very much in mind in the discussions. So the discussions took place yesterday. They went into yesterday evening. They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal, too. We're going to get together today by probably phone because it's very hard to find a country. It's very hard for them to get out, I guess. But we'll at some point very, very soon meet. We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Who is Steve Witkoff speaking with, Mr. President?
A top person. Don't forget, we've wiped out the leadership phase 1, phase 2, and largely phase 3. But we're dealing with the man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. It's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
Is that the Supreme Leader?
No, not the Supreme Leader.
So
we don't.
Not much talk
Well, nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader, the son.
Are these direct?
We have not heard from the son. Every once in a while, you'll see a statement made, but we haven't. We don't know if he's living. But the people that seem to be running it, and they seem that based on really fact, because things they've said have taken place.
Mr. President,
Again,
Mr. President, I know you've deployed.
because I don't want him to be killed. Okay, I don't want him to be killed.
Mr. President, you.
Now that right there. Did you catch that? Let's go back.
And they seem that
Talking about who he's in conversation with. They're in conversation with.
based on really fact, because things they've said have taken place.
Mr. President,
Again,
Mr. President,
That woman reporter just said, can you tell us who that
things
is?
they've said have taken place.
Mr. President,
Can you say who that is?
Mr. President, I know you've deployed.
Because I don't want them to be killed. Okay? I don't want them to be killed.
Mr. President, you've deployed.
Nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants that job right now, you know? Nobody's exactly looking forward to being the head of that particular country, but perhaps we'll be able to solve that problem.
Mr. President.
Can you say who that is, who you're talking to, who you're dealing with? It sounded like to me. He said, I can't tell you because I don't want them to be killed. Does that mean, let me know right now, those of you who are watching in the chat, does that mean he doesn't trust the Iranians to then go kill this guy who's trying to make a deal with the U.S.? Or, like other people have proposed, that he doesn't trust Israel to go in and sabotage and kill this person who's trying to get to a peaceful resolution? Those are the only two options he's talking about. Iran would kill this guy because they don't want peace. Or Israel would go in and try to have this guy killed because they keep knocking out so many leaders.
You've deployed ICE agents to American airports. Newsmax, sir. You've deployed ICE agents.
You're not doing a very good job.
You've deployed ICE agents.
You're not doing a good job. Did you hear me? Okay, go ahead.
What exactly do you want from these talks?
I'm taking CNN over Newsmax.
What exactly are you looking for in these talks, Mr. President?
We're looking for all of the things that we've been talking about. We want to see no nuclear bomb, no nuclear weapon, not even close to it, low key on the missiles. We want to see peace in the Middle East. We want the nuclear dust. We're going to want that, and I think we're going to get that.
Uranium?
We've agreed to that. Yeah, we've agreed to that.
You want the enriched uranium before you can end this.
And we want no enrichment, but we also want the enriched uranium. If this happens, it's a great start for Iran to build itself back, and it's everything that we want. And it's also great for Israel, and it's great for the other Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, all of them, Kuwait and Bahrain in particular. So it's great for all of them.
If the war is ending, do you still need $200 billion?
It's always nice to have. It's always nice to have. It's a very inflamed world, and the Democrats inflame it. You know, largely the Democrats inflame it.
Do you still need the $200 billion if you have their military depleted and you have so much done? Supposedly, this is what we're being told. This is the ridiculous narrative we continue to hear despite them continuing to ramp up attacks, having more and more troops in the region. Everything's fine. We're just decimated. We're destroying them. But we need $200 billion. Well, why is that, Mr. President?
Start for Iran to build itself back, and it's everything that we want. And it's also great for Israel, and it's great for the other Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, all of them, Kuwait and Bahrain in particular. So it's great for all of them.
If the war is ending, do you still need $200 billion?
If the war is still ending, if the war is so close to being done, do you need $200 billion? Does that make any sense? No. And yet people in the comments will come at me, oh, Sean, of course it's a good idea. We need to revamp from Ukraine. What? What? You have to pick a side here. You have to pick a logic pattern. Either everything they say, which contradicts itself over and over again, or there's some behind-the-scenes 4D chess.
For all of them.
If the war is ending, do you still need $200 billion?
It's always nice to have. It's always nice to have. It's a very inflamed world, and the Democrats inflame it. You know, largely the Democrats.
So now he switches it to the Democrats. You see? It's an inflamed. This is pro. He's a pro at this stuff. Watch
It's a very inflamed world, and the Democrats inflame it. You know, largely the Democrats inflame it. Let me just talk about the others. So ICE has done very well. I've requested. Now, you know, I'm a big believer that they should be able to wear masks when they go and hunt down.
See, and he switches it over to ICE and everything else going on. But it's a good question. Why the hell do we need $200 billion if the war's ramping down, if we're just totally decimating them? They don't have a Navy, an Air Force. Their anti-aircraft's totally destroyed. This is why I said yesterday, you got to be stupid to believe every single thing that we're hearing. Like some of you guys say, like Raymond, can't show all the cards. Got to project strength to everybody and show that it's, but it just comes across so disingenuous. We're like, we're not that stupid.
I've requested, now, I'm a big believer that they should be able to wear masks when they go and hunt down, murderers, criminals, and others. But for purposes of the airport, I've requested that they take off the mask. I don't like it for the airport, and I believe they are willing to do that.
Mr. President,
Why do they wear masks not at the airport, but they need to do it when they're out in the country?
The people coming into the airport, typically speaking, aren't murderers, killers, drug dealers, etc. There may be a few of them, but there are many. They're people that want to come into the country, or that people want to leave the country, go into maybe their home country. So I didn't think it was an appropriate look for an airport. I think it's a very appropriate look when they're out on the street trying to find one of the 11,888 murderers that Sleepy Joe Biden led into our country.
Elon Musk, sir.
Last year you gave a $10,000 bonus. Sorry. Last year you gave a $10,000 bonus to TSA workers who kept showing up to work during the shutdown. Will you do that again?
Well, it could happen. It's amazing. There are people that are really, really loyal and great, and it's not easy for them. And this is all caused by the Democrats. It's just so you know, all this money was approved. Everything was approved. This is done. The Democrats went in, and they want to have radical left lunatics come into our country. They want to have drug dealers. They want to have murderers come into our country. They want to have open borders, and we're not letting it happen. That's what this is all about. They don't want voter ID. They don't want proof of citizenship. They don't want mail-in ballots. They're so corrupt. What they want, the only thing they want is mail-in ballots. So we also added, as you know, into the Save America Act. And it's called Save America. It's not the Save Act. But we added no transgender mutilization of our children and no men in women's sports.
Elon Musk, sir.
It's pretty bad that they don't want to do the voter ID thing. I mean, it is a disgrace, and he's right. They do want these open borders over and over. That's why they're pissed that he shut it down. The border crossings are at such a minimum, and they don't like that. They had a whole influx of voters that were going to come in and help raise their population total for Congress. Maybe they'd be able to vote and figure out some way. We don't know all that works, the whole mechanism of illegal voting. But that was for them to get more Democrat seats in Congress through the higher population total that these blue states would get, because the illegals would be counted within the census. And it's messed up. But don't forget that Trump talked about in the SAVE Act how it's going to allow non-transgender mutilations unless it has parental consent. Voter ID is a 90-10 issue, like Raymond said. It's insane that they won't pass it because they cannot. I don't know why. They just can't have a loss to Trump, I guess, right now. Also, Johnny, who probably left the chat, he ran away, wanted to talk crap to me in the chat, and he ran away. Come on, Johnny, don't be a baby. Keep coming at me. Let's go.
Of our children and no men in women's sports.
Elon Musk, sir. If these talks go well, and you reach,
I don't think he's going to be a Newsmax.
If these talks go well and you reach a ceasefire agreement with Iran,
Why has he got a hate fest with Newsmax? What's this about?
Elon Musk, sir. If these talks go well and you reach,
I don't think he's going to be a Newsmax.
If these talks go well and you reach a ceasefire agreement with Iran, do you believe Israel would abide by that agreement?
I think Israel will be very happy with what we have. We just.
Good question. Because Israel wants total decimated regime change. That is something we have heard, obviously, from Netanyahu. Over and over. That's the obvious messaging. The alleged thing is that they started this war. And the U.S. had to do it, or else Israel would have attacked first.
With Iran, do you believe Israel would abide by that agreement?
I think Israel will be very happy with what we have. We just spoke to Israel a little while ago. I think they'll be very happy. This will be peace for Israel, long-term peace, guaranteed peace. If this happens, and I can't guarantee it, but I think it's going to. My life is a deal. That's all I do is deals my whole life. I think this is something that's going to happen. And why wouldn't it happen? So tomorrow morning sometime, their time, we were expected to blow up their largest electric generating plants that cost over $10 billion to build. It's a very good one. There was no dearth of money. And one shot, it's gone. It collapses. Why would they want that? So they called. I didn't call. They called. They want to make a deal. And we are very willing to make a deal. It's got to be a good deal. And it's got to be no more wars, no more nuclear weapons. They're not going to have nuclear weapons anymore. They're agreeing to that. Any of that stuff, there's no deal.
Have they offered to reopen?
How are you going to? You said you want to get the enriched uranium. How are you going to get the enriched uranium? Are you going to?
It's very easy. If we have a deal with them, we're going down and we'll take it ourselves.
Can I ask you, the Treasury lifted sanctions on Iranian oil that was out to sea. You criticized President Obama for giving Iran $1.7 billion.
Well, I just want to have as much oil in the system as possible.
But Iran is
and we don't even know if Iran gets that money. Frankly, I think it's very hard for them to get it. But you have ships that are out there that are loaded up with oil. Rather than keep it there, I would rather see it go to the system. Any small amount of money that Iran gets is not going to have any difference in this war. But I want to have the system be lubricated.
Because if he gets more supply in the chain, it'll drop down oil prices and create less leverage that Iran has in the Strait of Hormuz.
$14 billion, you don't think helps them?
Where's the $14 billion?
Because the inflated price, they get $14 billion from the...
I don't think they're getting the money.
Oil.
I could tell you, when this is all over, I will tell you who's getting the money.
Mr. President, the Marines from California, given that it'll take them weeks to arrive, is the intention to police the strait or take cars?
Okay, let's go back to
Civilization of our children, and no men be happy. This will be peace for Israel, long-term peace. We were expected to blow up their largest electric generating plants that cost over $10 billion to build.
So, we were supposed to totally blow up these plants because Iran needed to cave and do what we wanted to do, and or else we would strike with massive force that's going to destroy really civilian lives and the way of life in Iran. Well, Iran has kind of made not only statements, but they've also made a video response to Trump talking about wanting to do these strikes, and now that there's good talks going on, everything's halted all of a sudden. to the public that this idea that everything is totally destroyed is a lie. And it has to be a lie. It's just a propaganda arm to try to make us believe that this war is going so smooth and so amazing when it's not. Now, Raymond said, I've had many Persian friends, co-workers over the years, and they've told me stories of firsthand experiences they lived through. Being in Iran, I guess, I've talked to guys from Iran, and they're so thankful to be here in the United States, those that have emigrated. So it must not be the greatest way of life, or at least the opportunity of what they can do with their life in the United States is greater than what they can do in Iran. And now I want us to take a listen to really
joining me in the studio is our Middle East
based on Sky News's more detailed report than I can give you guys on the updates of what's really going on between Iran and the U.S. Because Iran is not really agreeing with Trump's idea of these productive talks.
Commentator Tara Kangalu. We need to start, don't we, with that Truth Social post from the president saying that there will be a pause in any strikes on Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period. Tara, what's your reaction?
Indeed, and he goes on to say this is to speak to the success of our work and operation, and also the constructive meetings that we are having. And my biggest question, Leah, right now is, number one, who are these conversations with? Is it with the Gulf partners? Is it with the Israeli counterparts? Also, this 5-day period, what is the expectation? Is it the complete opening of the Strait of Hormuz? Because when you hear from the Iranian side, the Iranian government is saying the Strait of Hormuz is open for business, not to the adversaries. And also we heard from Secretary General of NATO, who was making the rounds in the US media yesterday, essentially saying we are supportive of the US, but how? That was also unclear. So I think a lot of ambiguity in this Truth Social, but I think one thing is clear, that I think someone spoke sense in Donald Trump's circle, and perhaps him directly, that if these strikes take place, it is going to be catastrophic for the civilian society, the civil infrastructure in Iran and the civil society inside this country, and also the retaliation that we might potentially see from Iran toward the Gulf states, but also Israel, will most certainly be enormous. So I think the cost is now outweighing President Trump's bombast and threat.
Yeah, let me just go over that statement again, just if people are just joining us. This is from Donald Trump. I'm pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had, over the last 2 days, very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East, based on the conversations.
And the question of who did he talk with? Apparently he's saying, the country of Iran. My question is, who did he talk to? And that this, by the way, Leah, was something that came up last week, that there are back-channel talks and there are conversations between the Trump administration and Iranians that Iranians denied. The foreign minister came out and blatantly said, no, there's no conversation, and we're adamant in defending, our territory and so on. So my first question is, has there been any talks? If so, with who? Because don't forget, Leah, on Friday, the president of the United States said, we killed all the leadership. I want to talk to Iran, but there's no one for me to talk to. And this is just an incredible revelation that we're just seeing.
That's right. He said, everyone's been killed. There's no one to talk to. And now all of a sudden he's had all these great talks over the weekend. And this isn't just nitpicking, okay, and being mad, but there's just so many inconsistencies with what we're hearing. For instance, this professor at the University of Tehran, who apparently is connected and has been a source in so many matters, he's getting so many interviews, he said basically, there ain't no peace talks that's been had.
Well, there are no talks right now, direct or indirect. I assure you, absolutely no talks. But the Iranians are on their guard. There is no way in the world that the Iranians are going to trust Trump or the Trump regime for even a second. We are at war. This is a war of defense, and we will continue to fight against the two aggressive regimes, the Trump regime and the Netanyahu regime, until they are defeated and until Iran's conditions are met. And Iran is prepared for a very, very long war. Iran has the United States, it has Trump by the throat. Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, and the United States can do nothing about it. Even if the United States launches an assault, a land, and tries to take territory from Iran or a foothold on Iranian territory, nothing will change. There is not a chance in the world that Iran will allow oil to go through the Strait of Hormuz without its consent, and Trump knows it. So Iran has the upper hand, and time is definitely on Iran's side.
Because remember, Trump said, oh, we're going to strike so hard if you guys don't agree within 48 hours. Iran was like, try it. We're going to strike back. We're going to strike so hard. And now all of a sudden, oh, we've had good talks. There's a peaceful resolution. Just like we heard, there's a peaceful resolution coming. Great advancing talks that we had with Putin in Alaska. Or like we had with Israel in the peace deal between Israel and Gaza, and then stuff started again the next day. It's just not true. And I'm going to show you guys a military reason why Iran has so much power right now in this Strait of Hormuz, with what they've built up on their coastline, that they basically control the Strait of Hormuz, and Trump cannot come out and say that this is a negative thing, that we've had these tough times, this somewhat defeat. He can't say that. But we keep hearing from Lindsey Graham and everybody, we need to take this Karg Island where they have all their oil. Well, this is what might happen if we do that. Even though in the public, in the media, they're telling us it's this great thing. I'm sure the military is aware of this. But for some reason, the media, it's Lindsey Graham, Trump, these people, they don't want to tell us this.
So right now there's this talk that if we can take over Karg Island, we'll control the purse strings of Iran, and then we'll win the war. Well, the problem with that is we aren't going to, if we take the island, doesn't mean that we have access to all their oil, because they can just turn off valves upstream here and we won't have any oil that we can take. But beyond that, we've seen that Iran is capable of striking targets routinely and accurately 1,000 miles away. I'm not a military strategist. I've never worked in defense. But putting a whole bunch of people out here on this island in a place that right now the Navy's afraid to send any ships because they're going to get shot with rockets. So right now there's this...
Exactly what he just said at the end right there. I don't understand this idea that Lindsey Graham, by the way, because he's not a military expert. He's just a warmonger who's probably got blackmailed on. It's a good idea to send troops right here when this is an area in a strait that we are scared and not willing to put ships through to escort these oil ships. Why? Because Iran has control and power of this area. And if they can just cut off the oil line, what's the point of taking the island? Because there's some infrastructure there? But if you listen to everything that you saw on the Sunday shows with Mike Waltz and Lindsey Graham, oh, it's such a great idea to take this island and take over Sebastian Gore. Oh, great idea. In an area that we won't even send our aircraft into, which includes, by the way, the massive aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford. This bad boy that I'm going to show you a video of right now. This guy went to the area of the Middle East, and now he's gone. Look how big that thing is compared to the other boats nearby. Taking it. It's got all those aircraft on it. It's the largest aircraft carrier in the world. And this guy was centered in the Middle East and is now where? It had to divert. To Greece now for repairs. Yes, that's right. That's right. I'm going to show you guys this tweet, and then I'm going to show you this. Exactly what's going on? The USS Gerald Ford is now out of commission for at least 12 to 14 months due to that fire caused by a fluff buildup in a tumble dryer. Yes, that's seriously the story we are being told. The largest aircraft carrier in an area that we have total control because their total military is totally obliterated. It had to abandon to Greece for repairs because a fire was started randomly inside. U.S. aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford arrives in Greece for repairs after Red Sea deployment. Let's read this together, which is insane. These stories we keep getting told by the federal government is just, it's so sloppy. It's like, okay, are you guys really just going to like lie to us? They can't admit when there's defeat. They can't admit that Iran has control over the Strait of Hormuz. Here we go. The U.S. aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford arrived Monday at Crete's Naval Support Activities Sauda Bay for, quote, maintenance and repairs following operations. The move comes days after U.S. officials indicated the carrier strike group was operating in the Red Sea in support of the ongoing war. Earlier this month, here we go, a fire broke out aboard the carrier in its main laundry area, prompting a large damage control response. U.S. officials said the blaze was not combat-related. Of course not, because their military is destroyed. Military is totally depleted, of course, and was contained, but reports said more than 600 sailors were displaced from their sleeping quarters. So now it's going to have to be settled and have repairs for a long, long time just because of a little laundry fire? All the while we keep hearing more and more inconsistencies about how, oh, we have total control, military's totally depleted, but I need $200 billion, but the Strait of Hormuz stays closed, but I need NATO's help, but our largest aircraft carrier had a random fire and is leaving? Ain't no way that's true. Ain't no damn way. But people will eat that up. And I want to see what you guys say in the chat. I can already see, Sean, how can you not believe that? Well, hopefully some people are thinking, because we keep getting too many inconsistent stories that just literally make zero sense. And one of the things from the news and from the media is just how much, and especially from Israel, how much they're ready to rise up against this regime. Well, in the streets of Tehran, this is the scene. People idolizing, supporting, probably worshiping their leaders out in support some parts of Tehran. Now, of course, I already know the reaction. Sean, of course that's Iranian propaganda. Of course. The U.S. could never have propaganda or they try to tell us a lie. But Iran could organize a whole street protest, try to show a street celebration for their leaders and show that, yes, to the world, we're so strong. Okay, well, if Iran can do that, why can't the U.S.? By covering up a real fire with our largest aircraft carrier in an area where the other military is totally depleted. Come on, you guys. Come on. I know some of you see it. Carcanes, he's gone full commie. What happened to the good old 2024 days? You know what happened? You'll agree with me if it goes longer than 4 more weeks. I will hold you to that. And if it's not, I'll come back and be like, you know what? It was a quick thing, bada boom, bada bang. But it doesn't sound like it's going to be at all. And in 2024, by the way, in 2024, we heard no new wars. We heard we were doing the Epstein files. We heard we were going to get lower taxes. All we got is corporate tax breaks. We heard we were going to have mass deportations. Now, people who work in hospitality groups on farms, those illegals, they're good-hearted ones. That's what happened. You guys act like I switched up. And like Joshua said in the comments right here, Sean, you like the way Iran shot down the F-35 while flying that carpet? Exactly. Their Navy, Air Force, everything's destroyed. But they were somehow able to hit an F-35. I think that the Iranian military is a lot stronger and more impressive than we're being led on. Because if they weren't, if they weren't that strong and they were as weak and decimated, we'd be done. We wouldn't be having an aircraft carrier leave because of a little laundry fire. Come on, bro. Thank you, Joshua. Somebody is thinking in the chat. So that's what happened, Carcanes. Did I switch up? Did I all of a sudden become, so pro-legal? So pro-war? Joshua's saying you missed the point. Explain what you mean. Because I thought you were making a joke about, how did they hit down that F-35 if the military is just destroyed? Because that's how I take it. I listen to this thing and I'm like, okay, military's destroyed, but they hit an F-35? Yeah, okay, come on. Give me a break. Which Trump continues to promote to us in press conferences like he just did.
Great place, and Memphis has to like me. Because I have a lot of friends here now. What's gone on and the job is these people and
I want to hear when he talks about the war.
So they said, very positive, I have to say. So we provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury, which is a very good name, as it turns out. That was a name. They showed me 20 names, sir. What name would you like? I didn't like any of them. And then I get toward the end, I said, you got to be kidding. What? Operation Epic Fury. I love that name. And it's very appropriate for what's taken place, if you know, in Iran, because we knocked out their Navy, we knocked out their Air Force, we knocked out their anti-aircraft, we knocked out everything, and we did it with fury, actually.
You see, you guys want to some people want to get mad. He's still doing better than Biden, but a younger president. Okay, he's doing better than Biden. Yes, that's great, because that was irritating for 4 years. But, this is not what we were promised. Who thought they can fly on them prayer rugs? Joshua, you're good. But listen, did Sean Daniel come out and make claims about Iran? No. Listen.
Because we knocked out their Navy, we knocked out their Air Force, we knocked out their anti-aircraft, we knocked out everything.
Let me get a little close up here, Johnny Trump.
And we did.
Come here, sir. Come here. We did, huh? We did? Sometimes I understand you got to show strength, can't admit defeat, because that would be terrible for the economy, for the country. But it's disingenuous to us who voted for you. I don't know about you guys, what you did. I knocked doors for the campaign. I volunteered my time. I went to events. So, and I'm not even that fully involved before. But some of you guys who have just sat on your phone and watch stuff and haven't gotten really that involved, and some of these people want to come at me. I did a decent amount of work, some, for the campaign, and I'm frustrated that what we were promised and told is now totally different, including these odd things that, the military is totally depleted.
Of course, we knocked out the Navy, and it's very appropriate for what's taken place, if you know, in Iran, because we knocked out their Navy, we knocked out their Air Force, we knocked out their anti-aircraft, we knocked out everything, and we did it with fury, actually. As I announced earlier, based on preliminary conversations between the United States and Iran over the past 2 days, I've directed the Department of War to temporarily postpone planned strikes against major energy and electricity targets in Iran. They have very, very big, new, actually, and very expensive, billions of dollars it costs to build them. One missile, one of our powerful ones, and it comes down to the ground like it was made out of dust. But to determine whether a broader agreement can be reached, we've had very good discussions, very, very good discussions, and you have to...
We heard the same thing about the time that Putin went to Alaska to meet Trump. Has Trump kept his promises? 1 vote. Yes. Okay. Whatever. Come on, you guys. Really? We don't have mass deportations. Some people can be honest in the chat. Thank you. Some people are saying no.
Agreement can be reached. We've had very good discussions.
I just can't trust a lot of stuff. You know, we heard all about this with. He can't come out and say, you know what? They're not really responding. They want to go full bore against us. They're stronger than we thought. Or after the Putin meeting in Alaska, he can't come out after and be like, you know what? Putin did not move a bit. He's got a lot of power. No, we've had great discussions. Come on, man.
Very, very good discussions. And you have to understand, I know my whole life has been a negotiation, but with Iran, we've been negotiating for a long time. And this time, they mean business. And it's only because of the great job that our military did is the reason they mean business. They want to settle, and we're going to get it done.
They want to settle? There has not been one communication from the Iranian government or military that they want to settle or find some agreement. He's just lying to us.
It is the reason they mean business. They want to settle, and we're going to get it done, I hope. So, hopefully this will be possible, but no matter what, we'll ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. They would have had one if we allowed the Obama deal to stand. That was the Iran nuclear deal they called it. They would have had one. Marshall III. Well, I tell you what, Martha, we would have nuclear weapons up there when, would you say, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, we would have been in a position that nobody wants to be in. We won't allow ourselves to be in that position.
It just doesn't make sense. This statement that he's given us. Oh, yeah, they just want to back down. They kind of want to find a deal. You know, we've hit them too hard. Then why is the Strait of Hormuz still closed? Why are we having an aircraft carrier go back? Maybe this is the reason that the U.S. is backing off of its claim that it's going to strike within 48 hours. And it's trying to say publicly that, oh, the talks are going so good.
The thing is clear that I think someone spoke sense in Donald Trump's circle and perhaps him directly, that if these strikes take place, it is going to be catastrophic for the civilian society, the civil infrastructure in Iran and the civil society inside this country, and also the retaliation that we might potentially see from Iran toward the Gulf states, but also Israel will most certainly be enormous. So I think the cost is now outweighing President Trump's bombast and
the retaliation, not only the strikes on Iran would be catastrophic, but then the retaliation by Iran can be catastrophic. Only if their military is not totally destroyed. You see what I mean? You see where there's inconsistencies? Open up your brain, people. Don't be so glued to, gotta trust everything he says. He is the truth teller. Your boy over here went around, volunteered, went to events, tried to work for the campaign, was actually ready to work for the advance team. So I'm quite frustrated as well. Open your mind a little bit, start thinking and seeing these inconsistencies and be like, hold on, not everything we're hearing about how great this is, how decimated. Watch as it continues to build. Then there's going to be boots on the ground.
Okay, saying
it's bad. And now I want to show you guys maybe some more info about this whole theory that we're really not doing as great as we think, and that Iran actually has some strong capabilities, because a British general explains why the U.S. Navy is terrified of Iran. Iran has turned its coastline into a massive modern-day fort with anti-ship missiles and drone swarms, which makes sense, this theory, because we basically have no control over the Strait of Hormuz, and we had to unsanction Iranian oil just to balance out our economy. that can only be if they're a formidable force.
Okay, saying put lots of ships up there, but there's a reason that none of the aircraft carriers have gone up to that part of the world and sort of loiter in the North Arabian Sea. And the reason for that is because of a very impacted document when I was at CENTCOM, which is a sort of standard in fleet operations, which was a ship is a fool to fight a fort. That fort in modern day is the anti-access capabilities which the Iranians have based on their drones, their anti-ship missiles, their mini submarines, and their swarm attack boats. You need to get rid of all of those, not degrade them, which is not a mission verb in military terms, before you'd even contemplate the risks of that going beyond the risk into a gamble. Okay, saying
So having the aircraft carriers it's basically like a fort along that coastline. But remember, it's totally decimated. No problem whatsoever. And this messaging doesn't just come.
How does
U.S. media?
How does
people within it comes from the people within the administration who have to do these public appearances.
How does
like I'm going to show you guys right here, Mike Waltz, who has to go on CNN and try to this is what you need to pay attention to right here. There wouldn't be a CNN town hall about the Iran war if the American people and President Trump and his team knew that everyone was supporting it. You think they would need to go on and do this PR campaign of explaining things to the public, doing all these interviews, if they had full support? No. But they'll pull out polls for you that say, 100% of MAGA supports. The few hundred people who comment on the little posts I made and get all mad. He wouldn't be doing this town hall, which we're going to go through right here, some of his answers, if everybody was behind this. But Caroline Leavitt will lie to your face and be like, yeah, everyone loves it. Come on, man.
U.S. involvement in Iran correspond with stated commitments to prioritize national interest under the idea of America first and avoid entering new military conflicts?
Yeah, thanks. No, it's a great question. And one of the things that we should be very clear on is how consistent President Trump has been in terms of Iran never having a nuclear weapon. He said it in his 2016 campaign, his 2020 campaign, his 2024 campaign. I could tell you, having been in the Oval Office with him, he always seeks to give diplomacy a chance. He is a president of peace. He is seeking to end wars all over the world. In this case, this is the ultimate for endless war in the sense that it's been going on for 47 years since Jimmy Carter, where they attacked us and killed our Marines in Beirut. They killed over 600 American soldiers where my wife served in Iraq, maimed and destroyed and killed so many lives, held Americans hostage until just recently, or actually holding Americans hostage right now as we speak. So he finally said, enough is enough, after giving diplomacy a chance, both last year and this year. And when it became very clear that the Ayatollahs were not negotiating in good faith, had no intention of.
But other reports say that the negotiations were going well, and then Israel was going to strike anyway because they want this conflict, they want this regime change. And so the U.S. had to do something or else it was going to be a shitstorm.
That the Ayatollahs were not negotiating in good faith, had no intention of giving up their aspirations for a nuclear weapon. I'm thankful he finally took bold action. By the way, not only is he trying to end this forever war, he's trying to end the war between Ukraine and Russia. Yep. He ended a 30-year conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia, plus 8 other conflicts, and now to represent us at the UN, where it's completely within America First principles to give diplomacy a chance, to try to resolve things peacefully, but also to back up that diplomacy with real strength. Thank God he rebuilt our military in the first term.
What do you think that it would take for President Trump to agree to not put any boots on the ground in Iran?
Well, look, we have the Marines.
He's not going to agree to that. He doesn't want to show his cards with anything. But I think it's going to happen. Because it just keeps escalating more and more. Let's see how Mike handles this, his PR game.
That are out there, the Pentagon's job, and Secretary Hegseth is doing a fantastic job, along with Chairman Kane, Dan Kane, is to provide all options to the president, a trained, ready, and in-position force. I don't think anybody should expect this to look anything like we saw back in 2003, 2 decades ago, with a massive invasion. I think that's a lot of misinformation that's out there. But he could always retain a very limited capability. I'm a former special operator. They have the capability to go and take WMD in a very targeted way. There are other options on the table, but I think if President Trump could avoid that, he absolutely would. If we can do this and degrade those capabilities from the air and from the sea, that would be the preferred option.
You're not ruling it out.
Oh, I'm not ruling it out. I would never be in a position to rule that out for the president. But as the commander-in-chief, he should always have all options on the table. And I think, frankly, one of the flaws of the Biden administration is he told the world and told our adversaries what he wasn't going to do.
The mission in Iraq versus what is happening now, there's a huge gulf between those. Isn't it possible to have boots on the ground in a way that is not as aggressive as what happened with the Iraq War, but still do it?
Look, I think the president could always retain the option to take very limited, very targeted actions. If you look at how he has applied military force, whether it was Operation Midnight Hammer last year or bringing Maduro to justice, it has been in and out, lightning fast. And achieved immediate results. And that's been that's been the way he has approached this since day one.
I understand, but you know better than I.
This is not the Bush administration by any means.
And you know better than I, this is also not Venezuela. So,
sure.
Look, there are a lot of people probably in this.
Great point there by Dana. You know, he makes a good point. We had a fast operation that Trump decided to make the call on, but that's a military move. They deserve the credit for that. You know, Trump tries to take the credit for that. These presidents do. They make the final call, but that's a ton of intelligence, military operations. And he tried to use Venezuela as a comparison. And she's like, Venezuela is no Iran. Iraq and Iran are a lot more similar.
This room and watching around the country who are concerned that this is going to escalate, and boots on the ground is a big thing for them. What is your message to them?
You know, here, not only is that how President Trump has operated, this isn't just rhetoric from me. This is the results he's achieved in multiple different operations. But you also have a cabinet that is full of veterans of the wars of my generation, of our generation, the endless wars that my wife and I served in. Lee Zeldin at EPA, Pete Hegseth at Defense, General Kane, and others that understand you have to have very clear objectives, that you can't have policy drift. And I have zero doubt that this will be something that is targeted, focused, and achieves the results that what we have to have, and what he has been clear about, is Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
I just want to just push you on this because
he tries to sit there and push him on, you know, is there going to be boots on the ground? No one's going to admit that or explain that. You know, that's a... No. That doesn't make any sense. But this is why we're having these CNN town halls, because Trump's approval rating, in large part because of this war, is not as high as MAGA and Caroline Levin and everyone will try to tell you to believe. He's only got about a 40%, 43% average approval rating. It's gone way down. 20% net negative. It's not really doing that good.
All right, guys, looks like we had
I hear this ended off with this last in-depth breakdown. As Trump declares, you know, victory, there's going to be peace talks coming soon. This gives us some insight into maybe what's going on and what's Iran's state of mind and public messaging compared to what we're just hearing from the Trump administration.
All right, guys, looks like we had a scheduling snafu with Lawrence Wilkerson, so hopefully we'll...
Regime change. Joe Kernan reported that this is how their conversation went. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that.
The president went on to say or insist that this is regime change because it's totally different people that were involved in the last regime. I would imagine some of the people are the same. This is the president's take on that, insisting that it's regime change.
So I don't know, Sagar, is this like an attempt for Trump to declare mission accomplished?
I don't know.
Well, we did change the regime because we murdered the Ayatollah and now his son is in charge, who's reportedly more hardline. I mean, they killed a bunch of the people who, he even said that they killed a bunch of the people that they thought maybe they would be negotiating an end to the war. So he's trying to frame this, I guess, as some sort of a positive.
Yeah, look, if this is what it takes to say mission accomplished, Mr. President, you're a genius. You've accomplished the regime change.
Masterful regime change, sir.
Nobody else, and I really mean nobody, could have done it.
Quite like you.
Quite like you. I'm giving you all a preview of, I'm going to try and psyop my way onto Fox News and give an incredibly serious, take praising him, but also pepper it with little things like that and be like, thank you for your bravery in this decision. So yeah, I mean, look, if this is what it takes, this is what it takes. At the very same time, we've got this interview that he just did with Maria Bartiromo. Let's take a listen.
Welcome back. I just spoke with President Trump, and he told me that Iran wants to make a deal badly. He said that the talks have been ongoing. I said, how much longer will this conflict go on? He said the talks, I said 5 days to halt or postpone strikes on the electrical infrastructure. It could happen sooner, he said, but I have put down 5 days. I asked him what his reaction is to Iranian state television saying that there are no talks. And he said he's not sure what they are referring to because the most recent talks happened, in fact, last night with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and their counterparts. When I asked about the Iranian TV saying that no talks have happened, he said it's hard to get any information there because of the U.S. is blowing up so much of their infrastructure. So again, he wasn't sure what Iran state TV was talking about because the most recent talks, he said, happened last night with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Again, the president just told me moments ago that the Iranians want to do a deal badly. The market, of course, has reversed course this morning after the president posted this morning in the middle of a big decline in markets. He said that he has directed the military to postpone strikes on the electrical infrastructure and the power plants for 5 days as these talks continue.
There you go. Actually, I mean, look, he's claiming some Kushner and Witkoff exchanges, Iranian TV saying no talks have happened. By the way, there's no public reporting that this is even true. Axios, which is like the White House scribe, when they were talking about the talks, what they said, it was via intermediaries of Egypt, Turkey, and a few other countries which were talking to both. Were messages being exchanged in reality? I mean, here's the truth. What it probably was, the U.S. were like, hey, here's our demands. And the Iranians were like, hey, here's our demands, to the Turks or to the Egyptians. And they were just calling each other, saying what it was. There's been no obviously, there has been no actual substantive exchange. If Jared Kushner.
But yet, everyone is going to buy this crap within the MAGA base. And maybe at times I did too. But you're going to see in 5 days, there's no real substantive talks. That's my prediction.
Obviously, there has been no actual substantive exchange. If Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff have proof of this, they should release it. The Iranians are denying it completely, outright, that any of it has happened. Again, look, if he needs to pretend, be my guest that there are some functional talks that are happening. But that would require Iranians actually taking it seriously and constraining Israel. And look, our show is a bit difficult to program this morning because so much breaking news is happening. But it's like I said, the Israeli Air Force has already announced, quote, the Air Force has begun a short while ago another wave of strikes targeting infrastructure of the Iranian terror regime across Tehran. Combine that also with some of the comments that were made here to Maria Bartiromo. There is no indication that any actual off-ramp is being pursued. Is this a moratorium of all U.S. strikes? Of all Israeli strikes? No. It's saying that
Exactly. This is why it's just such BS what we're being told, and just wanted to take you guys through some of those updates. I'm going to head out now and see you in the next